from Guymon, Petro. It's the DC3 Coaches Show. And now here's your host, Ryan Osmus.
Hello again, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us again this week. We're really glad to have all of you with us. Conq Athletics have been busy since we last met, so let's get some updates. After dropping the season opener, men's soccer is sitting at 3-2 on the season, winning 3 straight before falling to Cloud County 2-1 last Saturday in Concordia in the club's Jayhawk Conference opener. Women's soccer is 1-3-1, fighting out a 2-2 tie against Tabor and losing to Cloud County 6-2 last weekend. Both soccer teams are in Jayhawk Conference action tonight on the road against Pratt. Good luck to both of those teams. Our transitioning Conquistador volleyball team has had a bumpy road so far this season, but the team did recently get a shot in the arm, picking up its first win of the year during the Trinidad Invitational in Colorado when they defeated Adams State 3-1. The ladies will be in action tonight as they face 3-4 Hutchinson on the road to start conference play. Good luck, ladies. The Conquistador men's golf team put in a strong showing at its first tourney of the year, finishing 5th at the Colorado State Pueblo Invitational last week. Sophomore Sasket Jarak and Stanley Lewis of the Conquistadors finished tied for 7th at 2 under par. The team is currently competing in McPherson at the Central Kansas Classic and will finish up tomorrow. In women's golf, Jenny Serathorn tied for first in the women's tournament at CSU Pueblo, posting a 149 and tying with former Conquistador 7 Oracorn. During the abbreviated fall seasons, softball teams look to give players more experience for the upcoming season and fill gaps from the year before. Conquistador head softball coach Howie Smith has been an enduring presence at DC3 for 32 years and will begin his 28th season guiding the club this spring. Coach Smith's club is looking to improve on last year's 14-32 record. That included a 7-21 mark in conference play. The ladies have had a couple of games already this fall, so let's talk to Coach Smith and ask about his impressions of the club so far this year. Let's welcome Coach Smith to the show. Welcome, Coach. How you doing? Good to see you. So, Coach, I'm going to start off asking you a little bit about yourself. I know you're probably not necessarily comfortable talking about yourself, but you've been a mainstay at Dodge City Community College for over 3 decades now. For those that don't know, you're actually a part of the Dodge City Community College Athletics Hall of Fame, and you've got a lot of credentials behind your name. So why don't you just, so you're well known throughout Conquistador Athletics, but for those that may not know who you are, why don't you share a little bit about yourself with the fans and with the community, and also in that same regard, speak a little bit about your coaching staff as well.
Well, I'm a member of ARP now, so I'm, that's how old I am. So, but no, I have one daughter, Chantel, who just got married this past summer, and being a single dad has probably kept me here a little bit more and stuff. But I've always felt like the school and the city has been really good to me and my family, and so very rarely have I even looked to go anywhere else. Yeah. Chantel and I kind of settled down here, and with her mom living here, it made it good so we could still have the family and stuff. So, but moved out here in '85. I knew Doc Munson. That was the only guy that I knew. We had coached against each other in summer softball, and moved out here, and Doc was just going to take over the program. At that time, they were going to drop the program. Yeah. And so Doc asked me if I wanted to help coach free of charge. I said absolutely, and 5 years later, Doc retired and went down to Arkansas to open up that business, and I was fortunate enough the Board of Trustees elevated me to the head coaching position, and here I am starting my 28th year as a head coach. So it's been a good ride. I know last year wasn't very good for us. We've had a lot of highs. We have had a couple years of not being very good, and but we think this year we have a shot to hopefully get back up near the top again.
Excellent. So yeah, I appreciate you being on the show. That I didn't know that backstory, so that's really neat to learn that history. You want to share a little bit about your coaching staff and what they bring to the team and the dynamic they bring to Dodge City Community College?
Yeah, we hired Caitlin Reed out of Lubbock Texas. She had played at Lubbock Christian University for 4 years. Coached at Monterey High School the last 2 years, and she wanted to get into the college level. She was teaching at Monterey High School, and so wanted to get into the college program. You know, Lubbock, Dodge City, 6 hours apart, but in the Midwest. Right. So I think it was an easy transition for her. She's working with our outfielders this year.
Okay.
Her and I will also share hitting. I think her being younger than me, I still use some old school terminology where with Coach being younger, I think she can probably correlate with our young ladies a little bit more than me, but we'll share the hitting part of it. We both agree on kind of what we want to do, and you know, and I've got to change. You know, after last year, 14 and 32, I took about 2 weeks and figured I've got to make some changes. We can't stay status quo, and so offensively we're going to do some different things. I've always been bunt game, stuff like that. We're not going to get away from the ball, hit the ball more. And then Chloe Wurst, who was hired as Title V, she pitched at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in California, Division I, and so she's been gracious enough to, after she gets off work at 5 o'clock, work with our pitchers from 7 to 10 on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then whenever Saturday mornings, Sundays, like we practiced yesterday afternoon, she came out. So she's in charge of the pitchers. Of course, I'm in charge of the infielders again and all the defensive calls. So it's really been nice at practice where Chloe takes the pitchers and catchers, Coach Reed takes the outfielders, I've got the infielders, and they're getting a lot of one-on-one help. And as young as we are this year, we need that one-on-one help. So well, I appreciate them, and especially Chloe, because she's doing it free of charge. I have to get her 2 cases of some blast or whatever to pay her. So, but it's well worth it, and I think the kids getting one-on-one help, it'll help us immensely.
Well, I'm actually really glad I asked about your staff. I didn't know that about Chloe. She actually works in one of my departments, so I'll be able to follow up with her on that conversation. That's really neat. No, that's great. No, I think that's awesome. I didn't know that about her athletic career, so that's really, really neat that she's able to help out in that way. Now, as I looked at your roster, I noticed that your roster this year mostly consists of freshmen. Looks like you have anywhere between 14 to 15 freshmen on your roster, so it looks like you're going to be a little younger going into this year's season. What are your keys to success as it relates to your freshmen? What are you looking for out of your freshmen? What are you going to need them to do to be successful this year?
Well, with fast pitch softball, it all starts in the circle. We've got 6 pitchers right now. 5 of them are also playing other positions, and 4 of them are freshmen. So we're going to lean on them. Sam Montano, who started shortstop and third base last year for us. Chloe's taken her under her wing. Sam did pitch in high school. Hasn't pitched for a couple years, but got a couple innings in last week. And then Natalie Segovia's back, who saw some time. So it's going to start in the circle for us. We've got to throw strikes. We've got to have the ball put in play. And this year we feel like 2 or 3 things are really key for us. Number 1, we're so much more athletic than we have been the last couple of years. Number 2, our softball IQ is sky high. You know, last Thursday against Pratt, we actually put in 6 different defenses to run against Pratt, where I really thought the first game we would run one defense and that would be it. And they come from winning programs, either their high school program or their summer program. Our 2 shortstops, they both won state championships in North Dakota and Nevada.
Oh, excellent, so,
winning programs, high softball IQ, and we're very athletic. So, but it's going to start in the circle. We threw really well the other day for their first time out. They've got to continue to keep improving. And again, Coach Chloe's has changed some things with them, so it's going to be a real transition for them, but they've handled it really well right now. They believe what she's teaching. Coach Reed and I had talked to Chloe one day and got her philosophy. We liked what we heard, so we invited her if she wanted to help. And so, like I say, we get better pitching, it's going to make our defense better, and hopefully we won't have to score 9, 10, 11 runs to win a ball game this spring, and we can get back to the 4-3s, 5-2s, stuff like that. So, you know, we're looking for them, and then our sophomores are going to have to step up. And, you know, I warned them all summer. There's going to be a boatload of competition, which there wasn't last year. When you have 13 players, everyone pretty well knew they were going to play. And it's amazing how much better and crisper our practices are with 2-3 kids at almost every position and how they're battling every day out there.
With now the fall season just kicked off, just got underway. You just had your fall season opener against Pratt last week, and then you're back in action tomorrow, actually here at home at Legends Park at 3 o'clock, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Coach, so yeah, please come out, support the Conqs, come out and watch some softball tomorrow afternoon. But I know it's just a very small sample size, and you've kind of already touched on it in your previous answer. But what did you see against Pratt Community College that you liked, and some areas you think you might need to improve on throughout the rest of the fall?
The number one thing we saw was the energy in the dugout. I mean, I feel like my teams have kind of taken my attitude. I'm just very stoic during the game. I mean, I don't get real riled up or anything, but 21 kids, I mean, it was loud and boisterous, a lot of energy. Got off to a tough start. We gave up 3 runs at the top of the first inning, and we started 9 freshmen. That's usually what I do in the fall. I try to start all freshmen the first game so we can see how they handle it. Came back to the bottom of the first, struck out, and then we put up a 7 spot. Hit 2 home runs, our 3-hole hitter and our 9-hole hitter put up a 7 spot. Played really good defense after the first inning. Had some jitters, but we threw 3 pitchers the first game. Allie Hufford started. Sam got a couple innings, and Natalie Segovia came in, got 1 inning. Then she threw the first inning of game number 2, and then Gianna and Jess came in. And if you look at the score, we won 16-9 and 9-0.
Right.
We're going to play everybody, hopefully, the same amount of innings this fall, so that when the 3 of us have to make some decisions on who's going to start and who's going to get a lot of playing time, all the kids nobody can say they didn't get as many innings as somebody else. So that's what we're looking for. But the energy on the bench from inning 1 to even inning 14 was just unbelievable.
Excellent.
And, that's something we've missed a lot. And I'm not a big raw guy, but like I say, I felt like every inning our team fed off of it. And so I'm sure we'll see that tomorrow. And Wednesday we're at home also against Garden at 3 o'clock. So we've got 2 more straight home games. Then we go to Hayes to play Fort Hays State on Sunday, their varsity team, which to me will really tell us kind of where we're at. At least we'll have 6 games underneath our belts. Coach Adrian's got her complete team. All her players are who she recruited, and they did real well last year. So we'll get a real test up there, but we need to take care of business tomorrow, and we just need to get better than we were Thursday. But again, we're mixing and matching a lot. I've got 6 kids that have class tomorrow night. So they're going to play the first game, and then they're going to leave so that they can get to class. So we've got a couple of kids who are going to play a couple of positions that they really haven't played yet, but we feel confident enough in them that they'll do the job for us.
Yeah, you just touched on it. During the fall season, or as a former athlete myself, I know more times than not from the coach's perspective, it's about improving every day, getting better every day. Throughout this fall season, throughout the fall schedule, because in the fall it's not always about wins and losses. It's better to win than not. But what are you looking to improve upon each day and get better at each day throughout this fall schedule?
Well, I think on the offensive side, because we didn't bunt 1 time last Thursday in 14 innings, which, good Lord, I mean, usually I'm bunting 14 times a game. So,
right.
But we let the kids hit away. I think I gave 2 signals all night. We stole 6 bases. Then we were going to try a suicide squeeze because that was one of our goals. We have 5 or 6 goals every doubleheader in the fall that we want to try to accomplish. And one of them was run a suicide squeeze. We had an opportunity. Pratt knew what was coming, so I called timeout. We ran a punch and Judy hit and run with runners on second and third. We knew the shortstop. She showed bunt. Shortstop broke to third. We hit a little dribbler to where the shortstop should have been. We scored 2 runs off of it. But other than that, I let our kids swing away on 3-0. If they wanted to bunt, they could bunt for a base hit. Our left-handed slappers have the option to do whatever they want. They have to read the defense. They can either drop it, slap it, or possibly hit away if they have that opportunity. So for us, it's our young kids learning what defense is being run, where are they pitching you, and what adjustments are you going to make. And for us, just to put the ball in play and have some confidence. So I'm not going to take that away from them this fall. We're just going to go out there, and when we play Hayes, we'll probably need to run the short game a little bit because we're not going to be able to stand in the box and probably go boom, 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 but who knows. But again, I'm so adamant about the short game because somewhere down the line, you're going to need to get a sacrifice bunt down or a suicide squeeze to win a ball game, or if you're in the bottom of 7th against Butler for the Region 6 championship, we need to advance that runner. So, we didn't really add anything for tomorrow or Wednesday because we just played Thursday. Then after Wednesday, probably in Thursday and Friday's practice, we'll see if we want to what we'll do against Fort Hays State, because she's got a real experienced pitching staff coming back.
Coach, I appreciate you coming in. It's always amazing at how fast this time goes.
I know.
I mean, I appreciate you coming in, sharing a little bit about yourself, your staff, and prospects for this year's upcoming season. So we wish you the best of luck. Thank you for coming in. Thank you. Let's give Coach a round of applause. The Conquistador Player of the Week this week is kicker Devontae Gillalori. The 6-foot sophomore from Radcliffe, Kentucky is 5 for 5 on field goals this season, including a 50-yarder. And he's perfect as well on point afters with 16 straight so far. He's actually the leading scorer on the team so far this season, so congratulations to Devontae as a Conquistador Player of the Week. The Conquistador football team suffered a second straight loss to open the season with a 52-24 loss to number 10 Garden City September 1st, giving up 490 yards on the ground that day. Team was able to bounce back in a big way, however, this weekend with a 93-0 dismantling of Gordon Sports Academy here at Memorial Stadium. Justin Theriot ran for 106 yards and a touchdown against Gordon's, while Anthony Watkins had 3 scores, including 1 receiving touchdown in the win that brings the Conqs to 1-2 overall. The team will be facing the 0-3 Ellsworth Panthers this week, who themselves fell to Garden City 16-8 this past weekend. Here to talk about that game and how the Conqs are progressing this year is DC3 head football coach Gary Thomas. Let's welcome Coach Thomas to the show again. Coach, welcome. But before we get into the questions about game against Garden, game against Gordon, and then our upcoming game against Ellsworth, you know, I've interviewed you 3 times and I've never actually asked you a question about your staff. Your coaching staff. So take a few minutes and share a little bit about your coaching staff and what they mean to you, the program, and to our student athletes.
You know, we've been very fortunate over the last 6 years to have very little turnover, but we did have, you know, quite a bit this year. You know, all 3 of the guys that we lost got, you know, 4-year jobs and you know, moving up in the industry, which is, you know, something that we promote, same as we want our players to be able to move on to better situations. So we lost 2 of our defensive guys. We lost Anthony Gibson. He took a high school job in the state of Georgia, and he's actually back with us. He was only gone for a couple months. Michael Stark, he was our special teams coordinator, recruiting coordinator, and linebacker coach, and he got a job at, hold on, I'm not sure I'm on.
Go ahead, Coach.
There we go.
Excellent.
All right. He took a job with Henderson State University, much closer to home. You know, more money, established Division II program. It was a great opportunity for him. And Tyler Hennis is now the offensive coordinator at Southwestern Oklahoma, Division II school. You know, opportunity to call his own offense, and again, just great opportunities for all 3 of those guys. Jamar Johnson came in January. That's who we replaced Tyler with. Has done a great job. He was a GA at San Jose State last couple years. Receivers really like him. Hardworking guy, very organized. On the defensive side, we hired Vince Reese and Robert Bell. Both those guys came in kind of right at the beginning of the summer, just because Michael and Anthony both left kind of late in the process. So they've also been great additions to us. They're still a little bit trying to get up to speed, you know, because we kind of had to hit the ground running. And have a lot of time to train them before we kind of went into the heat of the battle. But they're both doing a good job, both intelligent guys, both eager to learn, eager to work, which is half the battle. And then Lane Hendricks actually was with us in the spring as our running back coach. He's a Dodge City grad, finishing up his bachelor's degree at Fort Hays State. He's been coaching at South Gray High School the last couple of years. Does a really good job, wants to kind of jump in the deep end of the water in the coaching profession. So we had an opportunity to help him do that, and he's done a really good job.
Yeah, well, excellent. Thank you for sharing that about your staff. So we've got a lot of ground to cover in a short period of time, so we'll see how far we get. So it's been a couple of weeks since we've had the opportunity to visit, and of course in that time, as I had mentioned in the intro, you've traveled to Garden City Community College to take on the Bronkbusters. We had Gordon here at home just last Saturday, and then you got your upcoming game this Saturday back at home for a 1 o'clock start time against the Ellsworth Panthers. Let's start by talking a little bit about Garden City. I know that was a couple weeks ago. You're probably looking forward, wanting to move forward, but since we haven't had the opportunity to visit, just a quick recap about Garden City Community College and that football game. So just your overall thoughts. Let's start out with just your overall thoughts as it relates to that football game and what you saw from your team.
Well, we've had the unique task of going into our first 3 games without a lot of film to evaluate. We were the first game of our first 3 opponents. So that comes with some disadvantages. Garden had a brand new offensive staff, brand new offensive scheme, so we were kind of shooting in the dark a little bit, preparing for that one. They came in, they're big up front, they ran the ball well. We made a couple mistakes. The score, to be honest, wasn't real indicative of how close. I mean, we were down 11 points with 9 minutes to go in the football game. It wasn't until a late fumble and they scoop and score that we were about to cut it to 1 possession. We had the ball on their 35 or on our own 35-yard line, down 11 points with 9 minutes to go. So, we were in the hunt. We just made too many mistakes early in the game. The first half, we're off the field twice. We got them 3rd and 9 2 different times and couldn't get off the field. Our first 3 drives on offense were bang, bang, bang right all the way down the field. We just stalled out all 3 times and had to kick field goals. I told our guys, the 3rd and 9 we're off the field, they throw a screen pass, we break it up, we got a guy lined up in the neutral zone, so they get another snap and it's 3rd and 4 now and they convert. If we get off the field on the 2 3rd and 9s where we legitimately should have been off the field, and if we convert even one of our 3 field goals to a touchdown, which we should have, that's a realistic expectation. It's a 21-13 game there at halftime. And we climbed back in it there. We played well in the 3rd quarter. The 4th quarter, we didn't play bad, but once we had the fumble and the scoop and score, I think the guys kind of realized 21 points in that short amount of time was an unrealistic, thing. But, we were in a position to win the football game. We were playing catch up and we shouldn't have had to because of our own mistakes. So I don't sit there and feel like we got beat up by any stretch of the imagination. They ran the ball well, better than we would think that anybody should run the ball. However, it wasn't a total gut-wrenching loss, where we just got decimated. That really wasn't the case. So there's things that we can tweak and things that we can change to get back in the race and be a competitive football team.
So as you just made note of, they were able to have some success in the running game. What did you see during that game that allowed them to have that kind of success, and what adjustments and changes may you make moving forward with the rest of the conference schedule?
Well, some of it was adjusting to what they were doing. Again, we were coming in blind, not knowing anything that they may do early in the game. We got out of some gaps. We got physically beat at the point of attack a few times. I told our defense, I'm not as concerned about the yard. I am and I'm not. But they didn't throw the ball. So it's not like we gave up 800 yards of offense.
Right.
We gave up 400 and some yards of offense. It just happened. They threw the ball 3 times. 2 times we broke it up. 1 time they completed a hitch for 4 yards. So that was all the yards that they have. Now, we need to be able to stop the run when people are determined to run the football. And we will, and we'll get better. But, as you look at it, they were one-dimensional, and it wasn't like we got decimated in 2 different aspects of the game. So we don't have a lot of things to fix.
Yeah.
It's a very... and I promise you this, nobody will look like Garden City looks up front. That will be the best offensive line that anybody sees all year. And again, they go to Ellsworth and they don't, Ellsworth stacks the box.
Yeah.
Garden City couldn't throw the ball last week, and all of a sudden they can only score 16 points. So I told our guys the other day, the fact is that, we lost to Independence, but I told them right after the game, I said, that's a good football team, but somebody's going to beat them. They lose to Hutch the next
week, absolutely.
I told our guys just yesterday, I said, Garden City's a good football team. I said, but somebody's going to beat them.
Yeah.
And, at that point in time, we're right back in the hunt. We're not out of this thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's just going to be one of those unique years where everybody beats each other up, and we've got to fix the things that are fixable and just get back to work.
Absolutely. One final question about Garden, then we'll move to Gordon and then on to Ellsworth. As you said, the score really wasn't indicative of the game and its totality, and it did look like your offense was able to have some relatively good success moving the ball with over 300 yards total offense. What did you see out of your offense? What did you like? What were they able to accomplish out there on the field, and what are you looking for them to do as you move forward with the schedule?
We felt really good about our game plan going in the game. We didn't execute on a couple things. We were a little bit sloppy on the offensive line. We lost our best offensive lineman for the season before the Independence game. So that didn't help us, going in. He played in week 1 and re-injured what he had injured a couple days before, so he's out for the year. So we had a guy playing guard that had never played guard before against, Gardens, 50 front where they bring a bunch of pressure. I thought we picked some things up really well, probably better than we have the last few years.
Yeah.
We just didn't make enough plays when it mattered. And those are the things that we need to fix. I felt like we moved the ball well. I felt like other than a couple special teams errors that set us back, having to move the ball 90 yards to score instead of, 65 yards to score. I was proud of our offensive performance. It wasn't good enough, and our defense has got to give us a couple better scenarios where we don't have to play catch up, or if we can stay in our game plan a little bit longer and don't have to become one-dimensional and have to try to throw the ball when you shouldn't be.
Okay, we've only got a few minutes left. I can't believe how fast this goes, so we'll try to get a couple questions in here. One question about Gordon, and congratulations on first victory of the year.
Oh,
right here, Coach, right here, man. Congratulations. 93-0 victory. In a game like that, relatively early, it was kind of obvious that we just kind of outclassed them.
Yeah.
So in a game like that where the conclusion is never really in doubt, what are you trying to accomplish in a game like that? Or what are you looking for your team to do? Where are you looking for them to get better and improve at?
The biggest thing is the young guys. We've got a lot of young guys that need to play football, and you can't afford to always put them in tight games and figure out what they can do and find out that they're going to get you beat. So in games like that, it's trying to play as many bodies as you can so that you can evaluate how guys are going to react in game situations and just get better at, there's a lot to be said about running 8 million drills, but at the end of the day, we just have to play football. And you can only play so much of it without getting so banged up that you can't play on Saturdays. So there's a fine line between, tough and stupid at that point in time. But we got to play a lot of guys that we haven't got to see play in a lot of game situations, and that was valuable for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask about Ellsworth. We really do only have a couple of minutes, but I did want to make mention of that. You were able to get some of your backups in the game, and I was going to ask, how valuable is that to get those backups real live game action? Because depth is always going to be important to a team's success. And so, how important is that for you to be able to get them in the game and have that live action?
Extremely, especially for some of those young offensive linemen and some of those young running backs that we just haven't been able to get a lot of snaps to. We're trying to figure out, we kind of know who our 1 and 2 guy is, but we've got 2 guys that are kind of 3 and 4, and they're very different, and they make a lot of mistakes in practice, so you don't necessarily want to see what they'll do in a game and take yourself out of a drive. Same thing in the secondary. We played a lot of guys, some defensive linemen that work real hard. We just haven't been able to get them into games. And again, at this level too, it's about getting guys film, so you can help them get recruited.
Absolutely.
So, anytime you can get younger guys or other guys into a game so that they can generate film to get themselves recruited at this level is very valuable.
Okay, Coach, we've got about 1 minute left, so I want to get to Ellsworth.
Yep.
Reminder, we're playing this Saturday at home, 1 o'clock against Ellsworth Panthers. They're coming in at 0-3, but it did look like they played relatively tough against Highland and Garden City. So what are you expecting out of Ellsworth this coming Saturday?
They'll play hard. They'll be very organized. They'll be very motivated. I think they feel like they're on the verge of, if you look opponent for opponent, they're going to look at our Garden score and their Garden score and be like, wow, we should win this game. And, they played Highland. They had the lead late in the game and ended up losing. So they're kind of on the verge of doing some things well. They're very organized, though. Coach Haynes does a good job with the offense. Their defense seems to be holding up. They're not flashy, they're not big, and they don't have big freaks running around like Garden City did, but they're a good football team, and they'll give us all we can handle if we're not careful. So a good week for us to kind of get organized and get an affiliated NJCAA win under our belt and get ready for what's going to be a grueling conference schedule the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you for coming in. The time goes quick. I appreciate it. Good luck on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's give Coach Thomas a round of applause, please. Coach Thomas, I'd like to thank you for taking time to be with us tonight, as well as Coach Smith of the Conquistador softball team. I want to say thank you once again to Guymon, Petro, and for everybody coming out this evening. Thank you, guys, and we will see you soon. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.